Welcome to Talking Voiceovers, where we interview professionals of the South African voiceover industry to inspire newcomers and each other. Today we'll be talking to Phemelo Molefe, copywriter and voiceover artist. Phemelo is going to chat to us about her home studio, how she gets her voiceover work, and what rates she charges. So don't go anywhere. Here she comes. Hi, Phemelo. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
I feel like I know you already because I've watched your videos on YouTube. Well, thanks for joining us on Talking Voiceovers.
It's a real pleasure. It's a real pleasure. So last time, I promised you a video on training your voice. Because if you think about it, you can't just show up to the Olympics and throw a shot put without training.
Phemelo, tell us your story because we love hearing stories. How did you become a voiceover artist?
It was by accident, actually. Yeah, I had been preparing for it all my life without even knowing it. So it really was a case of when preparation meets opportunity, you know? I started doing drama formally when I was 8 years old. And I kind of went through it through my whole school and high school career. And, you know, I was highly awarded in drama. Every single year that there was a school play, I would be in one. I took drama lessons. I was just a drama fanatic, you know? And then I got a job, but I never thought of drama in a sense of voiceover. I never really did. It was always theater because that's what I was exposed to. So I got a job at YFM as a traffic reporter. And one day, the sound engineer, his name is Travis, called me and said, my on-air name was Zin. He's like, Zin, come and read this for me. So I went in, and that's how my voiceover career started. I did quite a few voiceovers for YFM in terms of the gig guides and other voiceovers as well. And it was so cool, the level of independence that it afforded me, because I've been in the game for 21 years now.
Wow.
So at the time, it was like, I hadn't even thought of getting a home studio. So a home studio for me came much later. But that's essentially how I got into voiceovers.
Okay, so at first it wasn't a full-time job. You were doing it on the side on top of your traffic presenting.
Yeah, I'm still doing it on the side, actually. I work in radio behind the scenes as copywriter. Yeah, so I'm a copywriter. So that's the other way that sort of really exposed me to voiceovers, in that I have cast a lot of voices. I've directed a lot of voiceovers in my time. I've worked with the greats in this country. So that's how, yeah, that's another avenue through which I've been exposed. So I know both sides of the mic.
Ah, that is very interesting. We want
Yeah.
to know from you, what's it like being on the other side of the mic? What
Yeah.
advice would you give to new voiceover artists as to what they should and shouldn't do?
Well, definitely, as I said, it's not enough. And there was always this misconception that kind of really used to irritate me, because it did take up a lot of time, where people would ask to get into studio and test out their voice because they've been told that they have a nice sounding voice. And yes, people's voices do sound good, but does that mean that they know how to use it? You know? So my big advice is get training, you know? And even when you do get training, don't stop training. And I say that to myself as well. I really need to keep up with the exercises and everything else that I've learned in order to stay relevant. So that is my advice. Don't go into a studio thinking that it's, you know, it's easy, it's pap and place. No, it's not. It looks easy, but it's not.
And is there formal training that you can recommend?
If you remember, I did a shout out on Facebook to people who are trainers, and I only got one person back. Her name is Rozanne McKenzie. It's info@Rozmac Media. First things first, and I think this applies to everything in life. Train your voice. Your voice is an instrument.
If you're enjoying this interview, give us a thumbs up. So why did you start doing the videos on YouTube and Facebook?
I had wanted to do them for quite a while, actually. I should have started a long time ago. This project is at least 4 years overdue, you know? So I kind of, one day I was like, but what am I waiting for, you know? The thing about it, it was intimidating because there is a lot of information. There is really a huge amount of information. And I think what was intimidating me was, how do I deliver this much information? Because at the time I was thinking in one video, you know? And then I realized, you know what? There's reels on Instagram, there's stories now on shorts rather on YouTube, and there's now TikTok, you know? And I thought people are giving information in bite-sized pieces. And it's kind of been my lesson also, my life lesson, just break things down into smaller pieces and you manage. So that's how, when I realized I can actually do this as a series as opposed to one long thing explaining, that's when I was like, let's do this, let's go. There's no reason to wait any longer. Also felt it was important because it seems like the first question everyone asks when they find out that I'm a voiceover artist is, so how do I get into it? So I thought, well, it's a lot of people asking the question, and why not, Why not just get it out there so that people can decide for themselves if they want to get into it?
Yeah, and then doing it in bite sizes, it's easier for people to digest 2 minutes of video than have to sit through a whole half hour.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm actually grateful for the way things have gone in terms of disseminating information, because it has taken away that fear factor, if I put it that way, that intimidation factor. Yeah,
Once you start doing something, it's easy. It's just the first step, isn't it?
exactly. Yeah.
So now, next time somebody asks you, how do I get into voiceover? You can just say, go see my videos.
Exactly.
So, what is your favorite type of voiceovers?
I tend to be chosen quite a lot for your motherly sounding voices, which is cool. I like it because I think I do also exude that kind of thing. But I do also love it when I'm called for the girl who's with it, because then I get to put that on as well. So I've done a couple of voices where I'm here, I'm with it, and yeah. And I also quite enjoy Setswana, which is my language. I haven't done as many voices in Setswana as I have English. But when I do Setswana, it's really nice. It's really rewarding, I must say.
It feels
Yeah.
comfortable to speak in your own language.
Yeah. I do like character voices, but I do think it is more lucrative to be an announcer voice.
On commercial
Mm.
radio.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, it would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the radio station that you work with is mainly English speaking. So is that why you do mainly English voiceovers?
I actually don't do voiceovers for the company that I work for. I'm doing work as a copywriter. So I do this on the side. There have been jobs where I've gotten a gig because I was a suitable voice, but not just because I happened to be there,
That's
Yeah.
interesting because you'd think
Yeah.
since you work at a radio station, you'd be doing voiceovers a lot for them, but that's not the case.
No, the thing is, I stopped working at a voiceover as at a radio station. It's been a while now. My last time at a radio station was 2009.
Oh, okay.
So I've been working for agencies that deal primarily in radio. So after I left at the time Prime Media, I was doing, because I was a copywriter, I do the filler type voices. You're looking for a crowd in a lift or somebody to go, oh my gosh, that kind of extra little voice. Yeah. But I never did anything formal for Prime Media or Metro FM, which is where I worked before. So I did voices at YFM, and I sort of didn't do voices unless, as I say, it was just to add an additional character, you know? And I really started focusing on getting voiceover work when I was now working for one of the radio sales agencies that I worked for, which is currently called Media Heads 360.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, it was called Radio Heads.
Okay.
And at times I would be asked to do voices, but I was like, but you got to pay. Because yeah, that's when I really just thought I've got to start doing something with this and making it a career. But I must admit, what I really possibly love more is creating the adverts, like sitting on the other side and directing voiceover talent and putting something together. I've done a lot more of that. I have a lot more experience in that. And I think that's really what's given me the information that I need to be able to give the advice that I'm giving in my video clips. The fact that I have been dealing with voiceover artists and directing them. So perhaps directing is my first love.
So tell us about studio etiquette. What do you expect from a voice artist when they walk into the studio?
I'd like for them to be on time, but we're not, well, in the past, I've not been that hardcore, but, generally just be on time. Number one, that's an obvious one. Number two would be, which I'm going to cover in the next little videos that I'm doing for my series, is are you able to sight read? Very rare do people get given scripts beforehand. So I don't want to have to fumble through things with you because time is money. Honestly speaking, it sounds harsh, but time is money and you've got to come in there knowing what you're about. So just know how to do your sight reading, know how to interpret your script there. And then I expect you to be able to follow direction. You get few artists who interpret this script and give suggestions, and that's always welcome. That is always welcome. Sometimes they also have an idea, but primarily the ability to follow direction, because there's nothing like being stuck on the same read when you're trying to get somebody to elevate it.
Yeah. And so you don't mind if they give their own suggestions because some directors don't want to be second guessed.
No, I'm flexible. Look, I think that's just how I am. I'm flexible, I don't see why not. It does nothing to my ego, really. You've got a suggestion and I'm willing to hear it. And that's cool with me.
So how do you cast a voice artist? How do you pick the ones that you want to use for your text?
So, as a writer, what I do is I already have a sound in mind, a certain voice sound in mind, right? Now, at the time, we were using something called Voice Bank. And what I do is I'd go onto Voice Bank or Intertalent and sort of listen out to. So, firstly, obviously, you use the search criteria, whether you're looking for conversational, young man or whatever, young white male, for example. You search for that, you listen to the voice clips, and you sort of see if it's what you had in mind when you were writing the script. And that's pretty much how one would cast a voice, because you already had a certain sound in mind. Now to find a voice that matches it.
You just surf the voice clips until you find the right one.
Yeah. Or I know somebody who sounds like that. That's another thing. Relationships are good to have because sometimes okay, I know so and so can deliver this. So let me find out if so and so is available at the moment.
Do you ever ask agents, look, I'm looking for something specific. Can you make some suggestions to me?
No, what's happened in the past is that I've looked for a voice myself and then I call the agent, and if that person is unavailable, they suggest somebody who sounds similar. Yeah, or who's able to deliver on what I'm looking for.
So it's
Yeah.
important for the voice artist to have good clips on their agent's site or on
Yes.
Voice Bank. Well, now Voice Me, I would suppose.
Yes, it is important. It's a very good marketing tool, but also just to form relationships. I think that's also important, especially with Voice Bank leaving us, so to say. I'm finding now that I'm not getting as many jobs as I did when Voice Bank was here. So now it's on to get as many relationships as I can out there because a lot of my referrals were from Voice Bank.
Okay, but have
Yeah.
you signed up with Voice Me?
Yes, I have. I have signed up with VoiceMe. Yeah. But that's very new. So I don't have feedback yet as to how well I'm
Okay.
doing on that. Yeah. That was very recent.
And how do
that
you
I
create new relationships for your networking?
Well, currently, what I would do, right, is if I get called in for something, that's where a relationship can start. Because I work a 9 to 5, I kind of relied on Voice Bank more than going out there and doing the schlep, the hard work. So it's been a very passive sort of thing because I have a 9 to 5. What I found also is that you find yourself just talking to somebody, just generally talking, and you mention what you do, and the magic happens. I guess that's the magic of networking.
So
That's how I've made a lot of my relationships. Yeah.
you're good at networking.
Yeah. Yeah. Networking is really what's important.
Do you ever look for jobs on the online platforms?
Not really. As I mentioned, because of the 9 to 5, I'm not actively seeking these things out. Yeah, so I decided, let me fulfill my other passion and in terms of voiceover. And that's why I started the series, just to do something for myself. But other than that, no, I'm not actively going onto your Fivers and your whatever looking for work. Thankfully, as I say, due to relationships, I do get voice work. So every month there's at least one gig that I'm doing. So I'm grateful for that. I'm very grateful for that. And that's really just based on relationships. So to me, it demonstrates that the relationships we make are more important than just the sort of cold marketing, if I could put it that way.
That's a very good point, actually. And do you do most of your voiceovers in studio, or do you do some from your home setup?
Quite interesting, actually. I have not in the past year and a half, or year, 8 months, gone to a studio. I have been doing everything at home. And obviously it's because of COVID, but I don't know what made me think to buy a microphone, because I'm not that far from a lot of studios, but I had this aspiration to have a microphone and start doing things at home. And I actually remember what made me think, gee, I could do this at home. I was on Facebook and a friend of mine from college, Tabo, who's a rapper, was showing us his closet setup, which is where he started with his rap. And it just made me think, wait a minute, I've got a closet. If I get a microphone, I can also do my voiceover stuff in my closet. And so I saved up, I got myself a microphone, and it's the best thing that I've ever done, especially with how things have turned out. I've had my microphone for quite a while now, but to think that it was the ideal thing to have for lockdowns and pandemic was just like, wow. Wow, thank you, Tabo, for posting that.
Just in time. So tell us about your home setup. What microphone have you got?
So I use a Rode NT USB microphone. The cool thing is it's a USB mic, so you don't need any other components. They call it a sound card or whatever. I'm still a novice when it comes to the technical side of things. So I don't need that. All I need is my microphone and my computer, and I just plug it into the USB. This is it.
Aha!
It's
with a pop
That's
filter.
the mic that I'm using.
Rode is a popular brand.
Yeah, and it's a good mic. It's a good mic. I think I made a good choice. And as I said, I've had it for quite a while now. And it's still serving me well. I don't see any issues, so I'm happy with it. I'm quite happy with it.
And where do you record from? What's the room like?
In my closet.
With all your clothes hanging around you.
It's important to have that because having your clothes there absorbs sound. It would serve a similar purpose to, I don't know if you know of things like your chaotic eyeball, etc., or the padding you have behind you there. So the clothes serve that purpose. I know other people do it in their cars, other people throw a heavy duvet over them, but I like to do my work standing up. So the closet works.
So you've got enough room in your closet to maneuver around.
Actually, I'm not going to lie, I've got quite a bit of space in my closet, right? But what I use is one of the shelves, and I just, like I say, I have my clothes around the microphone, and that pads any sound, and it works brilliantly. I've never had a rejected voice.
That's amazing.
As a result. Yeah, so what I wanted to say is sometimes we make things bigger than what they are. We're like, I'm going to do this only when I have enough budget to get the padding for the studio, when I can get the studio, etc., etc. And then we miss out on opportunities when we may as well be working with what we have. But it goes without saying that I would like to reclaim my closet. So my next thing, I want something like a chaotic eyeball, which kind of will do the work that my clothes are currently doing. Yeah.
And look professional if you need to take Instagram photos.
Right? Exactly.
Well, that's actually fabulous to know because, yeah, for people starting out, they don't need to go all the way and get a big professional studio setup. They can start.
Exactly. Exactly.
Fabulous, yeah.
And like I say, I'm still on a journey of actually setting myself up, into something like what you have. While you're on the journey, just work with what you have. That's just another life lesson in general. Work with what you have, always.
Get started, don't wait.
Exactly. Work with
Absolutely.
what you have.
Yeah.
I mean, with the YouTube series, I could have waited until I had enough money to pay to film me and edit and blah, blah, blah. But no, I have my phone, I have a free video editing app. I'm working with what I have.
And do you edit
Yeah.
your own audio?
I know how to. I have basic editing skills, but a lot of the time I just send the raw audio to studio.
And what DAW do you use?
I use GarageBand and it works brilliantly. Like I say, I've never had anyone say, nope, record it again. There's no, there's a problem. And
Yeah.
that's good.
You don't have a problem with noise coming from your neighbors or anything like that?
No, it works. It
Amazing.
really does. The only time I've had a problem is there were renovations around,
Yeah.
and so I just went and asked. I asked, please give me about 15 minutes to record something. No issues at all. Like I say, the closet setup, if you have set everything up in a way that the noise gets absorbed, why not?
You say that you get your work from the relationships that you have or from Voice
Mm,
Bank previously. How
yeah.
do you negotiate rates? Do you have an agent to do that for you, or do you go with a guide? How do you do that?
I work on the PMA guide. Yeah, I'd negotiate around the PMA rates.
So you download the PMA rates from their website and you do the
Yeah.
negotiating yourself.
Yes. So I have a story about having an agent, actually. All of our stories differ. I struggled to get an agent, because I wasn't a big known name. So it dawned on me one day, why do I need an agent? Why? I could actually just do this on my own, And at the time, as I said, it was Voice Bank, and they had this page that said how to get on Voice Bank. I followed every single direction on there. I went to Sonovision Studios, I recorded a couple of demos, they put it on Voice Bank, and I've never looked back. Then I found an agent because I thought having an agent would just make my life easier. The person is no longer an agent. And that was the 1 year as a voiceover artist where I got nearly no work. I literally only got 2 voices. And I decided after that, no, forget about that agent thing.
Yeah.
Other people have different experiences with agents, but my experience with an agent, one agent, has been negative. And as a result, I'm doing everything myself. Yeah.
And you have experience with negotiating perhaps in your 9 to 5 job. So
Yeah.
you don't mind doing it yourself. That's amazing.
I must say, it's empowering. And it's another thing that I advise voiceover artists who are on the market to know what the guideline rates are. It's empowering to know what you should be getting paid because otherwise you will get ripped off so badly. So my advice is get out there, download the PMA rates, study that, and know what is going on. Yeah.
What would you say to people who would like to offer lower rates because they think they're more likely to get the job if they charge less?
It's really not a problem. It's up to you. Just don't mess the rest of us over. Don't be giving away voice for 250 Rand or something. Please
No.
don't do that.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
then clients have an expectation that they can get it for free somewhere else.
exactly. So yeah, definitely. I do think the PMA rates are a guideline. They're not a you must record at this rate, but it gives you an idea of where you should be, around where you should be negotiating. And that's why I say get to know the rates, and then you decide where within that range you want to price yourself.
Where can we contact you if we have any questions, or where can we find your videos?
So I'm on TikTok at Phemelo 007. I'm on Instagram, same tag at Phemelo 007. And on YouTube, my channel is Phemelo Molefe. And on Facebook, search Phemelo Molefe, the page. And I think the tag for that is at Phemelo 1980. Like I said in part 2, one of the most important things to know is sight reading. And I'll tell you why that is. So make sure you have reading material on hand, which is written in your home language and you're practicing daily.
Did you know all the TVO episodes so far have been self-funded, and I really need your help to keep going? So, If you've learned anything valuable from what we've said so far, please buy me a coffee or two by clicking on the link in the description. Right, well, thank you very much, Phemelo.
Thank you for calling me and asking me for this opportunity. I thought this is amazing. I love imparting information and I would really appreciate support with my videos as I give people tips on what it takes to become a voiceover artist, and particularly so in South Africa.
Cheers.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Bye. This was Talking Voiceovers. To make sure you don't miss out on any of the upcoming episodes, subscribe and hit that bell button.